Welcome back to Day 10 of JLTV's exclusive coverage of the 19th Maccabiah Games direct from the State of Israel. I'm Mitch Gaylord, coming to you from the JLTV Maccabiah headquarters. In 2008, Garrett Weber-Gale took home 2 gold medals from the 2008 Olympics. His relay teammate in Beijing, Jason Lezak, participated in the 18th Maccabiah Games. This year, Garrett travels to Israel to compete in the 19th Maccabiah Games. Our JLTV team met Garrett poolside.
We're at the Wingate Center where all the swimming competition is taking place. And while it looks quiet behind me now, we're waiting for Garrett Weber-Gale to jump in the pool. And he's a 4-time American world record holder. Tell me a bit about your childhood and how you got into swimming.
My mom and her brother and her father were swimmers in college. They're great athletes. My dad was a marathon runner. My mom actually swam every day of her pregnancy with me and my sister. And so it was just natural for her to take us in the water. And I was in the water actually at 6 weeks old with my mom just for a few minutes because the water was really cold. And that kind of progressed to swimming in a summer league team and then a club team in high school and college and then on professionally.
So as a kid, how young were you when you actually said, I love swimming, this is for me?
When I was 14, that's when I first started swimming year-round when I was in high school. And I started dedicating myself to the idea of trying to pursue swimming as far as I could take it and get as good as possible. And that's when I realized that when I was working hard and taking it seriously, I got better and better and better. And it was my senior year of high school when I broke the national high school record in the 100 freestyle that I really realized I could make the Olympic team. That was the defining point for me because that told me, all right, I'm on the right track. If I keep pursuing this, the future is very bright for me.
Very interesting story about your health and how that posed a challenge for you and how it changed your life as well and your swimming. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, in 2005, I was diagnosed with dangerously high blood pressure, and it was so high that on 3 occasions they told me, hey, you can't work out today because you're at such a high risk of having a stroke or a heart attack. And that really terrified me. Just a year before that, I was missed making the Olympic team by 1 place when I was 18, and I thought because of this diagnosis, I would have to give up my Olympic dream, and I didn't want to do that. And so I realized that food and nutrition could make a dramatic difference on lowering my blood pressure. So I got into food and nutrition and cooking, and I was the world's worst cook when I started, but I started experimenting in the kitchen. My parents got me some private cooking lessons from a chef in Austin, and I started realizing the dramatic difference that not only I saw in my health and my blood pressure, but also my performance just skyrocketed.
Now, in many cases, this can be hereditary. Was there a familiar connection, or was this a general checkup that you found this out?
It'd be nice to know why I had it and how specifically I could fix it, but I fixed it through diet, and then eventually I had to go on some medication to lower into further ranges that doctors wanted to see because I was competing at such a high level and putting such stress on my body from training. So my goal is that after I stop swimming, I'll be able to go off medication and just completely control with food.
Let's talk about the serious business of competing. How excited are you? You've set 4 world records, multiple other records. Most exciting race probably ever for me as a viewer. You get it asked all the time about the Beijing race, the relay with Michael Phelps. That must have been incredible. What has been the highlight for you, and what are you most excited about in these games?
I have 2 moments in my life that really stand out the most. One is graduating the University of Texas. That was the proudest moment of my life, actually. And the best moment of my sporting career was standing on the awards stand in Beijing, winning the gold with Michael Phelps, Colin Jones, and Jason Lezak. And when they put the gold medal around my neck, I heard my mom yell out my name to the right side. I looked and I saw my mom, my dad, and my sister. And the look on their face of excitement and happiness, how fulfilled and satisfied they were, that was the best moment in my athletic career and one of the best moments of my life because I knew how much time and effort and work and money they put into helping me achieve this.
You are a major foodie.
Yeah.
And an extraordinary story about how you got hooked in a very good way on learning from some of the Olympians of fine cuisine. Share some adventures.
So my whole goal was to learn as much as I possibly could about cooking delicious food and making it healthy. And in swimming, I went to the University of Texas. I was surrounded by Olympians, and I thought, if I want to really become a great cook, I need to do much of the same in my cooking career. And so I met Daniel Boulud, a very famous French chef in Beijing on the Today Show, and he really inspired me to want to learn from great chefs in these kitchens. And so he set me up to go to France. I apprenticed in Italy, at Noma, the #1 rated restaurant in the world for 3 years, in Copenhagen, Cellar Con Roca in Spain, at Danielle's restaurant in New York. And my goal is to take their classic, sometimes revolutionary techniques and recipes and transform them into healthier cuisine, because so many people, and myself included, they think that, well, not myself now, but when I was learning to cook, they think that delicious food cannot be healthy. And I wanted to show people that you can make really tasty stuff and also have it be healthy as well.
There was a time where you said, I'm not going to swim anymore. You were burned out. You wanted to cook, and that's all you really cared about from what I read. What was happening?
I've always felt I have a really big duty to make a difference in the world in a positive way. In America, we have such an epidemic with people being obese and unhealthy and riddled with disease. And so I was struggling with the idea of, is this really my calling? Swimming the way that I can make the biggest difference in the world. And I've realized that swimming has helped me continue to build my platform so that I can make an even bigger difference in the food world.
And you also started something very cool called Athletic Foodie.
Yeah.
What is that exactly? And you blog regularly.
Yeah. I started a healthy lifestyle brand called Athletic Foodie. We have an expert nutrition blog. We have a podcast. We do events, public speaking. I'm working on writing a book right now. We do some healthy consulting. And my long-term goal with Athletic Foodie is to make a quick service, fast casual restaurant concept that serves delicious food that's sustainably sourced and prepared.
So I say we all go to Austin, Texas for a great gourmet, healthy gourmet meal at Garrett's house soon, right? What do you say?
Yeah, I'd love to have you, for sure.
What are the events you're competing in here, and how hopeful are you given competition, especially from the Israelis?
Yeah, the Israelis are good here. I'm competing the 50 freestyle, the 100 freestyle, and 3 relays. And I'm just so honored and proud to be here. I was able to bear the U.S. flag at the opening ceremonies, which was one of the greatest honors of my life. And I've always wanted to compete at the Maccabiah Games, and now I have the opportunity to do so.
This is very unlike the regular Olympics,
Yeah.
because this is competitive also, but there's a sense of pride and bonding and knowing that all of your fellow athletes are Jewish.
At the Maccabiah Games, you're also going to compete against great athletes, but more than battling other countries and proving that your country is the best, we're here sort of proving that the Jewish people are very proud people, that we are successful, that we are great athletes, and that we have a lot of strength and power, and we're kind of continuing that. And actually, several nights ago at the opening ceremonies, I was surrounded by thousands of other athletes from countries all over the world, and everyone put the national anthem of their country aside, and they all sang Hatikva. And it was
the
national anthem of Israel and the Jewish people, and it was unbelievable to be a part of that. I have made a tremendous emotional connection with Israel. Actually, after I was here for 2 days, I was starting to tell people I wanted to make Aliyah.
What's next for you? You head back to Austin on probably wedding plans as well as maybe some more swimming?
Yeah, I'm heading back to Austin on August 1st, and I started school to get my MBA in entrepreneurship starting August 5th. We're getting married October 19th. So a lot of stuff is coming up.
So, Garrett, not a medal, but we have a special gift for you from JLTV, all right? It weighs almost as much as a medal, I think. I happen to know that you eat a bar of dark chocolate every day for nutrition and for fuel, because we know that dark chocolate is better for you than milk, everybody. So I want to present you with a nice bar of dark chocolate that we hope will continue to fuel your success moving forward. So, from outside of Tel Aviv, I'm Susan Neisloss for JLTV at the 19th Maccabiah Games with Garrett Weber-Gale and his chocolate. And in 4 years,
Hope to see you guys at the 20th Maccabiah game here in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Lee Trout.
This just in to JLTV Maccabiah headquarters. Garrett Weber-Gale has won 4 medals at these games, 2 gold and 2 silver for Team USA, and set a Maccabiah record in the 50-meter freestyle. Congratulations, Garrett.
In 1932, Denmark became one of the founding nations of the Maccabi World Union and has sent delegations to every Maccabiah Games since the first. So, the 19th Maccabiah Games is no different, and we're going to meet the Danish soccer team coming up.
There are 6,000 Jews living in Denmark today. Almost all of Denmark's Jewish community survived World War II. The majority of Jews live in Copenhagen.
Denmark is obviously known for the October 43 escape, where the majority of the Jewish population managed to flee to Sweden on the other side of the Sound. And our grandfather, Benjamin, he has a very personal stake in that story, because he also fled to Sweden, just like many other people, but his boat, it was just a tiny rowboat. He was close to drowning because the boat went down. It sunk in the middle of the Sound between Denmark and Sweden, and he was essentially a few minutes away from freezing to death in the cold water. It was in October. They were picked up by some kind of ship. I can't remember the type. Yeah, a little boat, which took them back to Denmark actually. And you would think that would be very dangerous because the Gestapo were rounding up people back in Denmark. But they were somehow smuggled away again to Sweden, this time on a new boat, which managed to cross the Sound, and now they managed to reach Helsingborg, the city just across Copenhagen.
My great-grandfather, he was the former chief of rabbi in Denmark, and he was actually the one that announced in the synagogue that in October 43 everybody had to flee to Sweden. My family, they went up north and they took the boat to Sweden, and all of them got to Sweden secure. And I have a big Jewish history, and my grandfather, he was also the chief of rabbi in Denmark, and I'm quite involved in the community because of my family and my brought up from home.
Jewish life is okay if you don't show it that much. If you live an anonymous life and you mind your own business, then it's okay. Myself, for example, I always have my Magen David inside the shirt, so I don't cause or provocate anything or anyone. But and also in my shop, when people ask where you're from and all that, it's not always you give them the right answer. So if you mind your own business, then it's a good life.
Where you go to, for example, in areas with a big Muslim population, you shouldn't show Jewish symbols. But if you're just living, quiet as a Jew and just relaxing, nothing is happening. So it's okay to be a Jew in Copenhagen, but probably better in the it's probably better to live as a Jew in the United States.
In Denmark, we have a community that is small, but it's good, and they have a lot of events and a lot of gatherings and stuff. And there's a good connection between each other. And because you are a minority, many people they get together because they're Jewish, and they feel a big part of Jewish. In Israel, I think it's more difficult to get that feeling because everyone is a Jew and it's easy to be a Jew. But in Denmark, you have to fight a little to be a Jew and to show your honor. And I think it's very important that people in small communities, they keep together and do a lot of work, and they do in Denmark, and it's a great pleasure.
it's just amazing to be here. We experienced the opening ceremony and being in the games where the level, to be honest, is much higher than what we play at usually. And just to be a part of this experience, you can compare it a bit to going to the World Cup for professional football. It's the biggest you can achieve for people at our level. We're all amateurs. So to be a part of this World Cup-like event is very special in every way, every single way.
My dad played, and I have had a lot of family, but it's my first time, and it's a great honor to be here. It feels like when we went into Teddy Stadium, and we came with 35,000 people like cheering us on. It feels like you were some big star, but it's just an amazing experience to be in Israel. I've been here a lot of times, but this is very different from any of the other times I've been here, because like all the sports athletes are gathered for one thing, and that's like doing the sport they're good at, and they're doing it in Israel, where a lot of Jews is, and it's nice to be here.
Also, you get to meet some nicer people, some not so nicer, but most of them is good guys. So hopefully we can get some relations and meet up afterwards the games, and have a good time afterwards. But if you go into a stadium, say the stadium, 30,000 people cheering you, we have family and friends abroad also come over here to cheer on us, and the game also. It's a feeling you don't feel, you don't get it when in the regular games. Koch is a football club, and actually a real sports club all over Copenhagen. We have handball, badminton, football, even though we have a bridge on a few years ago. And it's for grown-ups and for kids, and it's just about making sports for Jewish kids in Copenhagen. I don't actually know how many we are at the moment, but I know we have children's sports, men's sports, table tennis, every kind of sports. And it's a great place to meet up and just be connected together as Jews.
I've always been playing soccer. You know, I think for many, especially in Europe, it's a very natural thing for us. It's more like a religion, so you can say. So soccer has just always been a part of my life, and it's just been, you know, I couldn't stay away from the football. So so that's why I think if I tried to stop now, I couldn't stop. It will always take me back. I think it's a great chance to play football on a very high level compared to what we're used to in Denmark, and of course to have great experiences like the opening ceremony. So it is. I think it's the biggest Jewish sports so that shows that it's a very big tournament with a big prestige to participate.
I was in the tournament 6 years ago in Rome. Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that was in the Danish squad to the European Maccabi, and we came from nothing and took all of it. So it's actually one of the biggest stories in Danish football, Jewish football, of course, and it was great. Sadly, there was not so many in my age now in the squad, but hopefully in a few years the other guys can do the same result. It has been okay. As I said before, we are a young team. My expectation was to learn. Most of all, just to learn. We knew we was going to play against very hard teams, and if we just could fight us through the game, then I was sure that we were going to make an okay result. Hopefully, in about 4 years, we will come again and show people how Danish people play football.
Despite a disappointing showing in the 19th Maccabiah, Denmark's team promises to return in the 20th Maccabiah and strive for the gold. Reporting from Jerusalem at the 19th Maccabiah, I'm Igal Hecht for JLTV.
On the other side, we meet a young man who was not going to let a simple medical procedure gone awry take away his love of sport. I'm Mitch Gaylord coming to you from the JLTV Maccabiah headquarters. The 19th Maccabiah Games on JLTV is brought to you in part by the Jewish Life Foundation. The Jewish Life Foundation uses the power of the media to educate, inform, and celebrate Jewish history, values, and traditions. If you would like to support the efforts of JLF, you can sign on to www.jewishlifefoundation.org, where you can make a tax-free charitable contribution. On behalf of the Jewish Life Foundation, we sincerely thank you for your support. Welcome back. Jared Goldschen has been bowling since the age of 3. Could an outpatient medical procedure have ended his bowling career? Let's watch.
We're at the bowling center here in the suburb of Tel Aviv, and it's been an incredible morning of competition, very intense. 4.5 hours of the U.S. going up against some of the best teams in bowling. And with me is the youngest member of the team, Jared Goldschen, who's also had a very painful journey to get to this point. Jared, pleasure to be with you. It's been an incredible morning, an incredible journey.
Yes, it's definitely, today's been intense, but this experience has been unforgettable.
Now tell me, you started bowling at a very, very young age. Tell me about what got you into it and how old you were.
Well, it was actually, all of my grandparents were very active bowlers in their day. And when we used to hang out with them growing up, they used to always take my sister and I bowling, and it just kind of stuck.
You grew up in Los Angeles, I believe, and you have a long history going to different bowling alleys around, I would assume, Los Angeles and the country. When did you realize you had the bug? I mean, you started at age 3, and then it progressed from there.
Well, it was probably around high school when you start to notice, you know, how the other people are bowling around you and where you stand out. And it was when high school when I helped start a bowling club at our high school and kind of carried that into college.
Now, in college you went to UC Santa Barbara, a beautiful place, and you were very interested in bowling then, but you also got very involved with student government. How did you manage to do it all?
It was a challenge, but I think one of the greatest things about UC Santa Barbara is it teaches you balance in life. I think it's very difficult to graduate there successfully without learning a good balance, and luckily I had a very strong support group of friends and family to help me out and to help support me along the way.
You're a guy who's used to the limelight because you're being very modest, but as head of the student body at UC Santa Barbara, you were always out there, up front and center. How did that help your bowling?
It kept me level-headed, and I think in bowling that's very important. It's very easy to get down after missing a spare or leaving a split, and I think having so many things balancing on my plate, it taught me that it's very important to keep a level head and to stay positive.
Well, you talk about staying positive, and you had a difficult medical situation that made it, I would assume, a real challenge for you to stay in bowling and also to stay positive. Share that with us.
Yeah, well, if I were to write an autobiography, I think I'd call it Overcoming Defeat, F-E-E-T. I've had some foot problems along the way, one of them back in high school where I had a surgery that went awry, and I ended up in the hospital for a bit and ultimately had to have part of my toe amputated, my big toe amputated. But was able to recover from that when it didn't seem like it was possible and bounce back from that. And in preparations for the games, I actually had another foot injury about 1.5 years ago where I tore my ATFL and a bunch of other ligaments in my ankle playing volleyball. So still in recovery mode, but here I am.
So I know you're being kind of stoic about the pain that you experienced with it was your right foot, I believe you said.
The toe was the right foot, yeah.
So I've seen pictures of the toe, and it's not pretty, and I'm sure it was excruciatingly painful. At one point, you tell us how that toe got infected and what the doctor said about the toe and the rest of the foot.
Well, it was quite the roller coaster of emotions when I actually got admitted to the hospital when I checked into the ER after a week after having ingrown toenail surgery, and my toe was not healing properly, and I went to the emergency room. The doctors actually looked at my foot and they said, we're going to have to take you into surgery or we're going to have to amputate your foot. So that was quite the shock. It wasn't something that I was ready for, my parents were ready for. So I went in for surgery not knowing how things would turn out, and luckily I had great surgeons and great doctors. And long story short, 3 surgeries later, they were able to remove all the infection in my toe, but left me in a situation where I really had no other choice but to amputate the rest of the toe. So ultimately they took the bone and the joints and about half of the next bone, and was able to close it up and got me on my way to living my life again.
So how were you able to recover to get back to being in prime form to bowl? And what does it feel like now for you on that foot, and how have you compensated?
Well, one, I appreciate you saying prime form. I don't know if I'm there yet, but it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, just trying to get my body back, and especially overcoming the latest ankle injury. I've had about a month and a half to prepare for the games, which is not ideal. And I'm bowling with some incredible bowlers that have been bowling for twice as long as I've been alive.
How did the toe injury and losing the toe on your right foot change how you bowl or the way you line up or anything about your style?
Well, it changed a lot, just that I was out of the game for a while. So I had to take a year and a half off just to kind of get physically better and physically able to bowl. But luckily in bowling, if you're a right-handed bowler, your right foot is not your dominant foot. It's your left foot that's actually your slide foot. So I was fortunate in that way, and that I didn't have to make too many adjustments. It was more of a recovery, and once I was able to recover, there was an element of pain that I had to block out, and once I blocked that out, it was just a matter of getting back on track.
So when you see yourself here at the Maccabiah Games and you step up to roll that ball, how does that feel to you, knowing what you've been able to overcome and that you're actually here?
It's exciting. It really is exciting. Like I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I'm really happy to be here. Like, it's really awesome to be surrounded by some of the best bowlers in the world. I see the competition here, and I see the guys I'm bowling with, and they're excellent bowlers, and it excites me. It gets me pumped up to be in their company.
So we were able to see you doing your thing in the individual competition today. How did you do? How did your teammates do? How did you feel?
Well, I felt decent. It was a pretty challenging shot today. Most of the bowlers here would probably say that. I was fortunate to finish right around the middle of the field, which I'll take. I was very happy. I didn't start off that strong, but I finished with a couple decent games to keep me in the mix for the Masters competition, which is all events. USA did very strong, and we had four of our guys in the top 25.
And what's nice is I saw you giving the high fives to all of your opponents as well during every game. I mean, you're all there to cheer one another on, it seems.
Yeah, it's an amazing sense of camaraderie. On one hand, you're here to represent your country, and in singles, you're here to bowl for yourselves. But I think everyone realizes that bowling is always going to be a team sport, no matter how individual it may seem. When you're standing up there with the ball on the lanes, you need the support and you need the encouragement of your teammates and your friends and the fans. And if anything, I like to encourage people to keep their head up and to keep rolling.
Okay, I have to ask you a favor. If you don't mind, I'd like to hold one of your balls.
I get that a lot.
I knew I couldn't come up with a new line, but hold on to this. Oh, now that's a heavy ball, but this is a serious question. Okay? Serious question about his ball. Now, I don't know, how much does this weigh?
This ball is a 15-pound ball.
Okay, 15-pound ball, and I saw you, dare I say, rubbing your ball before you would take your shot. Something about the oil on the alley which affects the way you bowl? I mean, that's a big factor, which I wasn't aware of. Explain that.
It's actually a superstition. You're actually trying to get the genie in the ball to come out. No, there's a lot of oil on the lane, and the shot that we're bowling on specifically is a very tough shot, and the reason for that is because they put a lot of oil on the lanes. So oil, as you can imagine, makes the ball slide. So the more oil, the more the ball will slide. However, in bowling, you really want to hit the pocket at an angle. So you want it to curve, you want it to hook into the pocket at an angle. So what you're doing each time you see everyone wiping off their bowling balls is they're trying to get the oil that gets gathered on the ball off of the ball so that the ball will be drier, so that when it goes down the lane, it's not oil on oil, it's just your ball surface on the oil.
This is a far more complicated sport than I ever imagined.
Most people know very little about bowling, so that's in my opinion actually one of the greatest things about bowling is that it used to be the country's #1 participation sport. And it's because anyone could do it. Anyone could pick up a ball and throw it. And I think once you get to a certain level, you start to learn all the intricacies, similar to golf or tennis or any sport that, seemingly simple to pick up and participate, but to master it and to take it to the next level, there's a lot to be understood.
So what happens after the Maccabiah Games for you? What's the next challenge in life?
Probably getting back to work and focusing on my friends and family and my amazing girlfriend.
And no bowling for a while?
No, I'll actually be jumping right back into bowling because I joined a league, and I'll be trying to get in some tournaments, and I think Maccabiah has really inspired me to get back into bowling, and so this way when I come back in 4 years, hopefully I'll be stronger and more competitive.
Okay, you heard it first from the bowling center here in Tel Aviv. I'm Susan Neisloss for JLTV for the 19th Maccabiah Games, and maybe may see you at the next games. 4 years.
Next 4 years in Jerusalem.
You got it.
Welcome back. The JLTV Maccabiah team had the chance to sit down with a very special guest here at the 19th Maccabiah Games. Let's watch.
I'm Catherine Lurie, reporting on golf for the 19th Maccabiah Games in Israel. In 2005 and 2009, I had the privilege of being the manager for the golf teams for Great Britain, and I captained and played for the ladies. I am here at the world-renowned Wentworth Club in Surrey, England, in beautiful countryside, less than an hour from London. Wentworth is not only famous for hosting PGA tournaments, but it was here in 1926 that the concept for the Ryder Cup matches originated. It also has strong links to the Maccabiah and to Caesarea Golf Club. I'm standing next to the statue of Wentworth's most famous golfer, Bernard Gallagher, winner of the Ryder Cup in 1995, bringing the cup back from America, beating the Americans at Oak Hill in Rochester. And in 2009, he came to Israel to present the medals for the 18th Maccabiah. And today, we have him here with us. So Bernard, what did you think of the standard of the Israeli golfers?
Well, I was very impressed. First of all, they're very competitive. Each country wanted to go home with a medal and win, so that was great. And I did get the chance to walk around the golf course and see the players playing. And I thought they played at a very high standard, and I was very surprised.
And how did you find the golf course?
Well, it's a great golf course. It's a championship golf course. It's been redesigned by Pete Dye, an architect that I know well. He's designed many famous golf courses around the world. Sawgrass, that hosted the Players' Championship, that's a Pete Dye golf course. And it reminds me of a Scottish golf course at Caesarea. Like his bunkering, I like the new greens he's put in there. In fact, I like the whole route round the golf course, and for me it's a championship golf course, and it's good enough to host big championships.
Bernard, it was so lovely to have you here today. Thank you very, very much. I'm here at Caesarea Golf Club in Israel. The weather is beautiful and sunny, and to put it mildly, hot. I'm here to meet some of Israel's top young golfers. Leticia Beck is Israel's top woman golfer. She is only 21 years old. At the last Maccabiah Games, when she was 17, she won the gold and has won virtually every major tournament in Israel. She is currently on a golf scholarship at Duke University in North Carolina and plays for its team. She is now playing internationally. How did you start playing golf?
So I was born in Belgium, and then we made Aliyah when I was 6, and we moved to Caesarea, where the 18-hole golf course is, and my parents played golf in Belgium. So they wanted me to try, and I started playing around the age of 9. And then when I was 12, I played in my first, I think, Israeli Open, and I won it. So then from there, I just started playing golf almost every day.
How many hours a day do you practice?
So now in college, we have to study and play, so I don't have as much time as I used to have, but we play during the week. We play 3 times a week. We play 18 holes, which takes like 5 hours, and then twice a year we practice for 4 hours, and then weekends it's just whenever we want. Yeah.
I understand in Israel you have to go to the army at about 17 or 18, and you were named an outstanding athlete, and that you haven't had to go to the army. Please explain how this happened and how this occurred.
With my history and all my accomplishments, every year they postpone my service, and then sometime, I don't know when, but I will go to the army. But right now they just postpone it so I can play golf and study.
Do you think you're going to win at the Maccabiah this year?
I hope so. I'm going to play my best, and also I'm going to work hard on making the qualify for the British Open, because of course it's an important event. So just going to work hard for both events, and hopefully, I do well.
This golf course was originally built by the Rothschild family in the 60s. It was an amazing, stylish, beautiful place with peacocks and a little lake here. And then in the last 5 years, it was rebuilt by Pete Dye from America, who does incredible golf courses for the Ryder Cup and everywhere else in America. So the whole layout now is different. It's much more like a links course, and the condition is looking very good. The greens are looking superb, and they've rectified the grass problems they had. Another young star golfer is Hadass Liebman. She is just 17. At 13, she was chosen as the superior athlete by the Israeli Golf Federation after becoming the 2008 Israeli Open Women's Champion. At 13 or 12 years old, you won your first Open Championship here. How many others have you won since?
I won the Israeli Open in 2008 when I was 2008 when I was 13 years old. I won it again in 2011 and 2012. What
are your hopes and dreams for your golf career?
First of all, I want to play good for the Maccabiah Games. Then I hope to represent Israel in the Olympic Games in 2016. And I hope to get a degree. I hope to finish 4 years of college, get a degree, and then if I'm good enough to play professional golf, I'll definitely do that. But if not, I have a sort of a backup plan so I can move on in life and find a job that I like.
How do you feel about playing for the Maccabiah for Israel?
Well, first of all, it's a great honor to represent my country. It's the biggest sport event of the year, and it's very fun. I like the atmosphere. There are people from all over the world, and I hope to play well. I hope to play well for the team, play well for myself.
Do you think that Israel has a chance to get onto the European tour or be a fantastic destination?
Yeah, definitely, but it's hard. It's a small country and the resources are pretty limited, but there are a lot of people who support Israel and the Jewish community all around the world, and I hope that one day we can have representative in the European tour or even on the LPGA, PGA, wherever, progressing really well right now.
Thank you, Hadass. I want to wish you all the luck for Israel, for the Maccabiah. Asaf Cohen is a 19-year-old soldier from Orekiva. He is Israel's 2012 and 2013 golf champion. We caught up with Asaf during his match against Barry Sanderson, a player from South Africa. And guess who won?
I've just played my good friend Asaf Cohen, who's a fantastic young golfer. 8 years ago he was actually my caddy in the tournament. And now it's amazing to see how good he is. He's going to be a great golfer with a bit of guidance and a bit of direction. Unfortunately for me, I've just lost 2-1, but he played very, very nicely. But it doesn't matter, you know, I mean, we're here to enjoy the friendship between ourselves and between Israel, and it's very special to be here. And I must tell you that it's nice to see, this is the first year, this is my 7th Maccabiah. It's nice to see so many good young Israeli golfers coming up. I mean, they've got a very, very strong team. They've got 8 really, really good players, when before they used to have 2 or 3 really good players. So something's definitely going right in Israel.
Asaf, we've just got you coming off the 17th after beating South Africa in your match play today. How are you feeling about your golf?
I played well today. Barry was ahead of me for the most of the game, but towards the end I narrowed down the gap. And then I won the last 2 holes, so I won 2 up.
How do you combine the army and your golf practice?
I got an outstanding athlete status. Also, my commanders are very considerate and are very helpful. I have a certain amount of days off the army that I can use for important competitions and training sessions. So although it's hard, I managed to keep in shape.
How did you start playing golf?
I started at 4. My dad was Israel's champion. He would take me along with him. It started as a hobby, and slowly I started winning and took it more seriously. Now my whole life are around golf. I put all my time into it. After the army, I would like to go pro and enter the PGA.
Caesarea is currently the only 18-hole golf course in Israel. It provides a haven for international golfers and for people who live here. I'm Catherine Lurie reporting from Israel for the 19th Maccabiah Games. Just into the JLTV Maccabiah headquarters, Leticia Beck has taken the gold medal for Israel at the 19th Maccabiah. She achieved an outstanding total score of 207, which is 9 under par at Caesarea Golf Club. I'm Catherine Lurie reporting.
Well, that's a wrap from day 10 of JLTV's exclusive coverage of the 19th Maccabiah Games from the State of Israel. I'm Mitch Gaylord. I'm Mitch Gaylord coming to you from the JLTV Maccabiah headquarters. The 19th Maccabiah Games on JLTV is brought to you in part by the Jewish Life Foundation. The Jewish Life Foundation uses the power of the media to educate, inform, and celebrate Jewish history, values, and traditions. If you would like to support the efforts of JLF, you can sign on to www.jewishlifefoundation.org, where you can make a tax-free charitable contribution. On behalf of the Jewish Life Foundation, we sincerely thank you for your support.